Welcome back to Reformed Thinking. It is good to be with you again.
Good to be here.
I am here with my friend and colleague, and as always, we are cracking open the books, looking at the history of our faith, and trying to get a better handle on what we actually believe. We are two believers who stand firm on the Westminster Confession, and we are convinced that good theology is not just for the seminary classroom.
No, not at all.
It is for the breakfast table. It is for the commute. It is for real life.
That is the whole goal. We are not just dusting off old books for the sake of, nostalgia.
Right.
We do it because these older voices often saw things we have, I think, stopped looking for. They had a way of staring at the scriptures until the image became clear.
Well, we often just glance at it and move on.
We do. We're in a hurry.
Speaking of glancing and moving on, we have a source today that I think is going to challenge a lot of assumptions.
Okay.
We are doing a deep dive into the works of Jonathan Edwards. Now, be honest. When I say Jonathan Edwards, what is the first image that hits your brain?
Oh, it's the spider. It is always the spider.
The spider dangling over the pit.
Right. Most people, if they know Edwards at all, know him from, high school literature class.
Yeah, that's where I first heard of him.
They read, "Sinners in the hands of an angry God." They hear about the fire, the slippery slope, the wrath, and they stop there.
And they just file him away.
They file him away as this grumpy, shouting Puritan who probably never smiled in his life.
Which is a tragedy, honestly. Because while he certainly preached on wrath, and he didn't pull any punches there, that is such a small sliver of who the man was.
No, it is. It is like judging a grand cathedral by looking at the gargoyle on the rain gutter.
That's a great way to put it.
You are missing the stained glass. You are missing the altar. Edwards was arguably the greatest mind America ever produced, but he was also a man deeply in love with the beauty of God.
So our job today is to look at the stained glass. We're looking at a sermon titled, "The Admirable Conjunction of Diverse Excellencies in Christ Jesus."
It's a mouthful.
Even the title sounds fancy.
It sounds like a mouthful, but break it down. Admirable means something to be wondered at.
Okay.
Conjunction means joining together. Diverse excellencies means good qualities that are different from each other.
So we are looking at how Jesus joins together things that, usually do not go together.
Things that seem to contradict.
And he anchors this whole idea in a specific scene from the Bible, Revelation chapter 5.
Revelation 5, verses 5 and 6. This is the setup. The Apostle John is having a vision of heaven. He sees God on the throne, and in God's right hand there is a scroll or a book.
Describe this book for us. It is not a paperback.
No, it's a scroll. And Edwards points out a few details. It is written on the front and on the back, meaning it is full.
No empty space.
There is no white space left. And it is sealed with 7 seals.
7 being the number of perfection. Completion.
Correct. So this book represents the eternal purposes of God. It holds the future. It holds the outcome of history. It holds the final redemption of the world.
And it is locked down tight.
Super tough.
And this creates a serious problem in the vision. John reacts pretty emotionally.
He weeps. He says, "I wept much."
Why the tears? Is he just curious about what's in it?
It is so much more than curiosity. Think about it. If that scroll stays sealed, history has no resolution. Evil goes unpunished. Suffering has no meaning. God's people aren't vindicated.
So if that book doesn't open,
the universe is just a random sequence of tragic events with no conclusion. John is weeping because it looks like there is no one worthy to execute God's plan.
it is a moment of total hopelessness. He looks around heaven, earth, under the earth. No one makes the cut.
No one, not Gabriel, not Moses, not David, no one has the standing to take that scroll from the hand of God.
But then one of the elders interrupts the crying.
Yeah.
And this is the pivot point of the whole text. The elder says, "Weep not." And he makes an introduction.
He announces an arrival. He says, "Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, hath prevailed to open the book."
Okay, so close your eyes and imagine this. You're John. You're crying.
Yeah.
You hear a voice say, "Look, a lion." You turn your head, expecting to see a massive, roaring beast, shaking his mane, teeth bared, ready to tear things up.
You expect power. You expect a predator. You expect majesty and ferocity.
But when John actually looks, what does the text say he sees?
He sees a lamb.
A lamb.
And not just a lamb standing there, a lamb as it had been slain. He sees a small wounded animal.
That swift hearing lion, but seeing lamb.
Yeah.
That is the core of what Edwards is getting at, isn't it?
That is the whole argument. That visual shock is intentional. The Holy Spirit inspired John to write it that way to show us that Christ isn't just one thing.
He's not simple.
He is the conjunction. He's the meeting place of attributes that seem like they should be enemies.
In our world, you are usually one or the other.
Yeah.
You are the tough guy, the lion, the CEO who crushes the competition.
Or you are the lamb, the gentle soul, the pushover.
Right. We categorize people. He is assertive. She is kind.
And we rarely see someone who is terrifyingly powerful and incredibly gentle at the same moment.
But Edwards says Christ holds these diverse excellencies together in perfect balance.
Perfect balance.
Let's get into the specifics then. Edwards breaks this down into pairings. The first one is obvious from the text, the lion and the lamb.
Yeah, so think about the nature of a lion. It is fierce. It has a voice that shakes the ground.
The king of beasts.
Right. It represents sovereignty and strength. It devours its enemies. It's an image of judgment and royal authority.
And the lamb.
The lamb is the complete opposite. It is quiet. It is harmless. It doesn't hunt. It is hunted.
It's prey.
It is. Edwards notes that a lamb is good for food and clothing. It exists to give of itself. It is a symbol of patience and suffering, and of course, sacrifice.
So Christ is the devourer and the sacrifice. He is the king and the food.
Precisely. And if you have one without the other, you don't have Jesus.
What do you mean?
Well, a lion without the lamb is a tyrant. Just raw power with no mercy. And a lamb without the lion is a victim. Just weakness with no authority to save. Christ is neither. He is both.
Edwards takes this animal metaphor and moves it into deep theology. The next pairing he talks about is infinite highness and infinite condescension.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we need to define our terms here. When he says highness, he isn't talking about being tall.
No, he's talking about ontological status, his being. Edwards reminds us that Christ is the creator. He quotes Proverbs about ascending to heaven. He talks about how the nations are like a drop in the bucket to him.
That is a wild image. All of China, all of America, all of Rome, just a drop of water in a bucket.
It puts things in perspective. Edwards says that compared to Christ, all the kings of the earth are just worms of the dust.
Okay, stop there. The worm language. Edwards loves that word. I feel like modern listeners recoil at that. It sounds insulting.
I get that reaction. It sounds harsh to our ears because we're obsessed with self-esteem.
Right. We don't want to be called worms.
But Edwards isn't trying to insult humanity's value. He is trying to describe the scale.
Scale?
Yes. If you compare a single human to the being who spoke the galaxies into existence, worm is actually a generous comparison. The gap between infinite and finite is immeasurable.
So he establishes that Christ is infinitely high. He is at the top of the pyramid. He is above the pyramid. He made the pyramid.
But then comes the conjunction. Infinite condescension. Usually, the higher up you go on the corporate ladder or the social ladder, the harder you are to reach.
That is human nature. That is our sinfulness. And Edwards uses a brilliant and kind of funny analogy here. He talks about the bigger worm.
I love this part. Break it down for us.
He says, imagine a worm on a dunghill.
Lovely image.
Right. If that worm has a slightly bigger dunghill than the worm next to him, or if he is slightly longer, he starts to feel proud. He puffs himself up. He thinks, I am too important to talk to that little worm.
That is us. That is totally us.
It is. We get a promotion or a little fame or a bigger house, and suddenly we are too busy for the people we used to know.
Yeah.
We distance ourselves to protect our status.
But Christ doesn't do that. No, and this is the shock. Christ, who has the only legitimate reason to be distant because he is actually infinitely better than us, is the one who comes the closest.
He has sufficient condescension to notice the lowest rank.
Yes. He doesn't just notice them, he stoops to them.
Edwards lists who he pays attention to. It isn't just the kings and the high priests.
No, it's the beggars. It is the blind. It is the lepers. He mentions little children. Suffer the little children to come unto me.
And in the ancient world, children were, what, at the bottom of the social ladder?
They were seen as non-persons in a way. They had no status. A king shouldn't waste his time with toddlers. But Christ welcomes them.
And it goes beyond just being nice to them.
So much further.
He becomes one of them.
That is the ultimate condescension. He doesn't just visit the worms on the dunghill. He becomes a worm, in the language of Psalm 22. I am a worm and no man.
Wow.
He takes on the nature of the creature he made and allows those creatures to spit on him.
It is a stunning picture. You have the one who is worshipped by angels washing the feet of a fisherman who is about to betray him.
That is the admirable conjunction, infinite height meeting infinite lowliness.
Okay, let's move to the next pairing. This one is heavy, infinite justice and infinite grace.
This is the engine of Reformed theology right here. It's central.
How so?
We have to understand that Christ, as God, is the judge. He loves righteousness. That means he has to hate sin.
I think people struggle with that. They think, well, if God is love, he just ignores the bad stuff. Or he just, sweeps it under the rug.
But a judge who ignores crime isn't loving. He is corrupt. If someone hurt your family and the judge said, hey, I am a loving guy, I will let him go, you would be furious.
You would scream for justice.
Of course. God is the perfect judge. Edwards says he will by no means clear the guilty. His justice is perfect and has to be satisfied.
So that creates a terrifying situation for us because we are the guilty.
Right. If we are looking at the lion of justice, we should be eaten. We should be devoured.
But here's the conjunction.
He is also infinitely gracious. He wants to save the sinner. He delights in showing mercy.
So how does he do both? How do you punish the crime but save the criminal? That seems like a legal contradiction.
You take the punishment yourself. That is the only solution. Edwards points out that Christ's grace wasn't cheap. It wasn't a wave of the hand. It wasn't just forgiveness without payment. It was an expensive grace.
He had to pay for it.
He paid with his own blood. He satisfied the justice that he loved so that he could extend the grace that he loved.
So he wasn't turning one off to turn the other on?
No, but both were running at full capacity at the cross. He upheld justice completely and showed grace completely at the same time.
So when we look at Jesus, we are seeing the judge who condemns sin and the Savior who rescues the sinner wrapped in the same person.
Spot on. That's it.
The next one Edwards mentions is glory and humility. Now, help me out here. I always assume God is humble, but Edwards makes a distinction. He says God the Father, technically, cannot be humble. Why?
It's a definition issue. Humility, properly defined, is a creaturely virtue.
A creaturely virtue.
It means knowing your place.
Yeah.
It means recognizing that you are small compared to God. It means submission to a superior.
And God has no superior.
Correct. For God the Father to feel small or subordinate would be a lie. It would be untruthful. So God, in his divine essence, cannot be humble in that specific sense. He is not a creature.
The Christ.
Christ is the conjunction. Because he takes on human nature, he can now perform the virtue of humility. And because he is also God, his humility has infinite value.
So he is the only person in the universe who is worthy of all glory. Philippians 2, equal with God, and yet is the supreme example of humility.
Yes, he is the king living in a stable. He is the creator submitting to death. You see the highest glory and the deepest humility happening in the same life at the same time.
It is mind-bending when you really stop to think about it.
It should be. It's meant to make us stop and wonder.
Let's hit majesty and meekness.
Okay, so majesty is the lion side. Edwards quotes Psalm 45, "Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O most mighty."
Warrior king.
This is the warrior Christ, the one who walks on water, the one who commands the storms, the one who makes the mountains melt like wax.
Yeah.
Pure, terrifying authority.
And meekness. I feel like that word gets a bad rap today.
It does. We equate it with weakness.
Yeah, being a doormat.
But that's not the biblical idea at all. Edwards defines it beautifully. He calls it a calmness of spirit in a tempestuous world.
I like that. Calmness in a storm.
It's the ability to be insulted and not lose your temper, to be reviled and not revile back. Think about Jesus at his trial.
Mm-hmm.
He has the power to melt the faces off the soldiers hitting him. That is majesty.
Right, he could have called legions of angels.
But he stands there, silent, taking the blows. That is meekness.
So it's not the absence of power. It is power under control.
Absolute control. The strongest person in the room being the calmest.
Edwards rattles off a few more rapid-fire paradoxes. I want to touch on them quickly because they add so much color to this portrait. He talks about reverence and equality.
This is the mystery of the Trinity playing out in real time.
How so?
You see Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He is on his knees. He is praying. He is showing total reverence to the Father. He is acting like a subordinate.
But theologically, we know.
We know he is of the same substance as the Father. He is equal in power and glory.
So you have the equal one showing reverence to his equal.
It is a beautiful picture of love within the Godhead, submission and authority coexisting perfectly.
Then there is wordiness and patience.
He was worthy of only good. He deserved a ticker tape parade every day of his life. That's what he was owed.
Right.
But he was patient with the worst evil. People spit on him, they mocked him, they lied about him, and he bore it.
Usually the more worthy someone thinks they are, the less patience they have for disrespect.
Oh, yeah. The first thing you hear is, "Do you know who I am?"
Exactly. Jesus knew who he was, And that is what makes his patience so stunning.
He had nothing to prove.
And sovereignty and resignation.
He is the sovereign Lord. He wills every atom to move. Yet he resigns himself to the will of the Father.
Not my will, but thine be done.
Right. He accepts the cup of suffering that, in a sense, he ordained as God, but accepts as a man. It's a mystery.
It is just layer upon layer. But let's shift gears. Edwards moves from the person of Christ, who he is, to the acts of Christ, what he did.
Right. He wants to show us that this isn't just abstract theory.
This happened in history.
You can see the lion and lamb dancing together throughout his whole biography.
Starting with the incarnation, his birth.
The birth is a study in contrast. On the lamb side, it is incredibly low.
The humility.
He is born to a peasant girl. There is a detail Edwards notes about the offering Mary brings to the temple.
The turtle doves.
Yes. In Leviticus, if you were wealthy, you brought a lamb. If you were too poor for a lamb, you brought 2 turtle doves. It was the poverty clause.
So the Lamb of God was born into a family that couldn't even afford a lamb.
The irony is just staggering.
And he is born in a stable.
Right. There is no room in the inn. The important people have the beds. The King of Glory gets the feed trough. He is a helpless infant, wrapped in strips of cloth. Total weakness.
But the lion is there too.
Oh, absolutely. While he is shivering in the hay, a new star appears in the heavens, guiding the wise men.
So the cosmos is rearranging itself for him.
The cosmos is paying attention. Angels are exploding into the sky to tell shepherds about him. Wise men, kings from the east, are traveling hundreds of miles to bring him gold, frankincense, and myrrh, royal gifts.
So he is a baby in a barn, but the cosmos is rotating around him.
And Edwards points out the purpose of the birth. Why is he there? He is there to conquer the roaring lion, Satan. This baby is a weapon.
Then we look at his life.
Yeah.
The 3 years of ministry.
Same pattern. He lives like a lamb. He has nowhere to lay his head.
He's homeless.
He is. He lives off the financial support of others. He is accessible, eating with sinners, touching lepers. He washes the disciples' feet, acting like a slave. It's constant self-giving.
But
Then he stands up in a boat in the middle of a hurricane and says, hush, and the wind stops. That is lion. That is the Creator speaking to his creation.
the transfiguration is another moment like that.
That is the peek behind the curtain. For just a moment on that mountain, the human disguise becomes transparent. His face shines like the sun.
Peter, James, and John are terrified.
They fall on their faces, they see the majesty, but then it fades and he walks back down the mountain to die.
Even his interactions with people show this mix. He was lamb to the broken, but he was a lion to the fakers.
That is a crucial distinction. He was gentle with the woman at the well. He was gentle with the woman caught in adultery. He was a lamb to the hurting and the outcast.
But the Pharisees, the religious hypocrites,
He roared at them, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites!" He called them a brood of vipers. He cleared the temple with a whip.
he wasn't nice to everyone.
No, he was good. And sometimes goodness looks like a lamb, and sometimes it looks like a lion.
Now we get to the climax, section 3 in our outline. The sacrifice, the cross.
Edwards argues, and I think he is right, that the cross is the single greatest display of this conjunction. It is where the contrast is sharpest.
Walk us through the lamb side first.
Well, visually, it is total defeat. It looks like weakness. He yields to the slaughter. He doesn't fight back.
He allows them to nail him to the wood.
He is humiliated. He is stripped naked. He is bleeding. He is dying. It's the picture of a helpless victim.
Isaiah 53 says, "He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as the sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth."
Silence. No calling down fire. No angelic rescue. Just suffering. Pure, unresisting suffering.
But Edwards flips the script. He says that this moment of dying was actually the greatest act of might in the history of the universe.
It is the lion acting through the lamb. Think about what is happening spiritually, not just physically.
Okay.
He is bearing the wrath of God against all the sins of all the elect. For all time.
That is a weight that we can't really comprehend.
No. Edwards says if a mere creature tried to bear that, they would be annihilated. They would sink into nothingness. It required infinite strength. The strength of the lion to hold up under that burden and not snap.
So his endurance was an act of might.
An incredible act of might.
Edwards gets a little graphic here about the physical toll. He mentions the blood and water.
He does. He references Psalm 22 again. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted in the midst of my bowels.
And Edwards speculates about the fermentation of the blood.
That is a weird word. Fermentation.
Yeah, what does he mean by that?
It is old medical language, but the idea is that the internal pressure, the spiritual agony, was so intense that it literally changed the chemistry of his body. It turned his blood to water. It broke his heart physically.
So he didn't just die from nail wounds?
No, he died from the internal combustion of God's judgment meeting his soul.
And yet in dying, he wins. This brings us to the Samson analogy. And I have to say, this is my favorite part of the sermon.
It is so good. It's such a powerful image. Edwards draws this parallel that makes you want to cheer.
Remind us of the Samson story.
Okay, so Samson is the judge of Israel. Incredible strength. But he gets captured by the Philistines.
They betray him.
They gouge out his eyes. They bind him in bronze shackles. He is grinding grain in the prison.
He is a mockery. The strong man is broken.
Yes. And the Philistines throw a massive party in the temple of Dagon, their fish god. They bring Samson out to entertain them. Look at this guy who used to terrorize us. Now he is our clown.
They think they have won. The enemy is neutralized.
Exactly. But Samson asks the boy, leading him to put his hands on the pillars, and he prays, and he pushes.
And the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life.
The roof collapses. The temple is destroyed. Dagon is crushed. Samson dies, but in dying, he wipes out the enemy leadership.
And Edward says, this is Jesus?
It is the perfect type. Satan thought he had won. The world thought it had won. They had Jesus captured. They had him killed. They had him in the grave.
The strong man was bound.
But the cross was actually Jesus getting his hands on the pillars of Satan's kingdom.
Death and sin.
Right. And when he bowed his head and died, he pulled the whole house down. He destroyed the power of death by dying. He stripped Satan of his weapons.
Edwards uses another image here, the hook and the bait.
This is an old idea. Goes back to the church fathers. The idea is that Christ's humanity, his flesh, was the bait.
Okay.
Satan is like a great sea monster, Leviathan. He sees the bait. He thinks, I can swallow this man. I can kill him.
So he bites.
He bites. He swallows Jesus into death. But he didn't realize there was a hook inside the bait.
The divinity.
The deity of Christ. And that hook tore Leviathan apart from the inside. Edward says, out of the ear came forth meat. By being swallowed, Christ destroyed the swallower.
That is such a victorious way to view the crucifixion. We usually think of it as sad, and it is sad, but it is also a tactical strike.
It is a special ops mission. He infiltrated death to kill it from the inside.
So Christ dies, the temple falls, he rises, and he ascends. Now we are in section 4. Where is he now?
He is in heaven. He is exalted. He is the lion on the throne. But Edwards insists he is still the lamb.
Revelation 5 again. I saw a lamb. Not, I saw what used to be a lamb.
No. He didn't shed his humanity when he went up. He didn't unzip the human suit and go back to being pure spirit. He is still the God-man. He still has the stars.
And Edward says he acts as a shepherd.
Yes, he feeds his people. He leads them to living fountains of waters. And the most beautiful image, God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes.
A very tender act.
It is. Edwards points out that this is the act of a friend or parent. The hand that rules the universe is gentle enough to wipe a tear from a cheek. The lion's power used with the lamb's tenderness.
But then Edwards looks forward to the very end, the last judgment. And this is where the lion and lamb imagery gets intense.
The conjunction really splits here depending on who you are.
To the wicked.
To those who rejected him, he is the lion. And not just a lion, but an angry lion. Edwards describes the kings of the earth hiding in the rocks, screaming for the mountains to fall on them.
Why? What are they trying to hide from?
To hide them from the wrath of the Lamb.
That phrase, wrath of the lamb, is a paradox in itself. Lambs aren't supposed to have wrath.
That is what makes it so terrifying. If a lion attacks you, that is nature. You expect it. But if a lamb attacks you, that is unnatural.
What does it imply?
It implies that patience has been exhausted. It implies a fury that comes from rejected love, which is the fiercest fury of all.
But to the saints.
To the saints, there is no terror. He appears as the lamb. It is a wedding day. Edwards used language of sweetness and invitation.
Come, ye blessed of my Father.
Yes, he clothes himself wholly in love. He is the bridegroom coming for his bride. It's a reunion.
So we have walked through the theology, the history, and the future. Now, let's land the plane. Section 5 is application. Why did this matter to the guy driving his car right now?
Edwards starts by helping us read our Bibles better. He asks, why are there so many names for Jesus?
Yeah, the list is endless.
He's the sun, the morning star, the rock, the pearl, the man of war, the bridegroom, the branch.
Why not just pick one? Jesus is the boss. Done.
Because one metaphor can't hold the conjunction. It's too big for one picture. If you call him a rock, you get his strength, but you miss his movement.
Right.
If you call him a sun, you get his glory, but you miss his approachability. You need the whole collage to even begin to see the full picture.
Edwards mentions the botanical contrast.
Right. He is a root out of dry ground.
That sounds ugly, withered,
Mm-hmm.
humble.
Something you wouldn't even notice.
But he's also the tree of life in paradise, and the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valley.
Mm-hmm.
He's the most beautiful flower and the toughest root. You need both to get it.
Then he pivots to encouragement for the sinner. And I think this is the most practical part of the deep dive.
It addresses the two main fears that keep people away from God.
What are they?
Fear number one, I am too broken. My sin is too big. I can't be fixed.
That is the hopelessness. I've gone too far.
Edwards says, look at the lion. Because he is a lion, he has infinite strength.
Yeah.
There's no addiction, no past, no crime that is stronger than him. He is strong enough to save you.
But then there's fear number two.
Okay, he is strong enough, but he is scary. He is holy. Why would he want me? I am a mess.
The intimidation factor. God is too high, I'm too low. Edwards says, look at the lamb. Because he is a lamb, he is willing to receive you. He is approachable. He is lowly.
And he makes an argument from the greater to the lesser.
He does. He argues. If he was willing to be spit on, if he was willing to die for you while you were an enemy, do you really think he is going to turn up his nose at you now that you are repenting?
That is a solid argument. He has already done the dirty work. He has already humiliated himself. He isn't going to get proud now.
No way. Edwards says, he is a lion for you, to defend you. But he is a lamb to you, to welcome you.
That makes him a safe place. A wall of fire for protection, but a soft place to land.
Beautifully put.
The final application point is about intimacy, the friend aspect.
We all want a certain kind of friend. Think about it. We want a friend who is high up. We want to be friends with the cool kid, the powerful person. It is an honor.
It makes us feel special. I know the senator. I know the CEO.
But usually those people are aloof. They are busy. You can't call them at 2 a.m. with a problem. So we also want a friend who is accessible, someone who gets us, someone who is like us.
But usually the people who are like us can't really help us with our biggest problems. They are in the same mess we are in.
Exactly. We are stuck between wanting a powerful friend and a close friend. Christ is the solution.
The conjunction.
He is the king of king's highest dignity. It is the greatest honor in the universe to know him. But he became a worm and a brother highest accessibility.
Edwards uses the marriage imagery here. It's not just a friendship, it is a union.
We become partakers of the divine nature. We don't just watch his glory from the cheap seats. We share in it. He brings us into his family.
This leads to the final provocative thought Edwards leaves us with. And I want to make sure we get this right, because it is deep water.
It is. Edwards argues that the incarnation God becoming man actually achieved a greater intimacy for us than if the fall had never happened.
Wait, so you are saying we are better off? That sounds almost heretical.
In terms of closeness to God, yes. Think about Adam in the garden. He was perfect, he walked with God, but there was still a gap.
Creator and creature.
God was spirit. Adam was flesh. There was an infinite distance in terms of nature.
Okay, I see that.
But now, because the second person of the Trinity took on flesh, God has a human nature. And because we are united to Christ by faith, we are brought into the very life of God.
So, because he came down to our level.
He brings us up to his. Edwards says we are brought into the bosom of the Father through the Son.
So, a human being, Jesus, is sitting in the middle of the Trinity.
Yeah.
And because we are in him, we are there too, in a way.
We are closer to the Father than the angels are. Angels are servants. We are the bride. The incarnation bridged the gap in a way that nothing else could. It is the ultimate admirable conjunction.
It is heavy and beautiful.
Yeah.
It means the story of the Bible isn't just a rescue mission to get us back to square one, back to the garden.
No, it's a promotion.
It is a massive promotion.
It is.
Well, my friend, we have covered a lot of ground. From the weeping of John, to the lion and the lamb, to the crushing of Dagon's temple, to the wedding feast.
It is a sermon worth reading every year. It resets your view of Jesus.
I hope this deep dive has helped our listeners see that Jonathan Edwards is more than just a sermon about a spider.
So much more.
He is a guide to the beauty of Christ.
Amen to that.
Thank you for listening to Reformed Thinking. We will see you next time.